Hey players, welcome to this Dejounte Murray film study. If you're serious about improving your game, you're going to want to watch this video until the end so you can see what all you can add to your game. I just released a new basketball training platform that has a free and paid version. The free version, which is on your left right here, has a bunch of workouts, drills, skill breakdowns, film studies, and more. The paid version has a lot more. It has over 300 drills and skill breakdowns. It has hours of film breakdowns, IQ studies, you name it. If you want to take your game to the next level and you're ready to put in the work, you want to look into this because it will seriously help your game. Now, as we get into this film study, there's 2 points that I really want to emphasize in this video. Number one is great players look to find as many advantages and opportunities as possible. So if you're a basketball player and you want to get better, first of all, it's a good thing you're watching this video, and it could be any other basketball YouTube channel. It shows that you're looking for every single thing you can add to your game, even if it's just a small thing. The more you can add to your game and the other people you're competing against are being lazy, you're starting to gain an advantage from your competition. So that's number one. And then number two is players, you need to learn the difference between what looks fancy and is rarely used versus what doesn't look as cool but happens almost every single possession. I know it's fun to work on your handle and some advanced scoring moves. I am 100% a proponent of that. But if you can't master the fundamentals like driving angles, being able to balance your body on drives, making reads on secondary defenders, having an effective shot fake that actually works, if you can't master the basics and the fundamentals first, you're skipping steps. So know what happens the most in games and work on that. Okay, so Dejounte Murray, his pace is really, really good, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. I think he has the best pace of any guard in the NBA. But on this clip right here, watch how he sets up his cut. So he's going to feed the post player, is going to flash out. He's going to feed the post player, and then you can see when he sets up his cut, look how his body kind of comes up, and he changes speeds into the cut. And then the second point of this clip is that he uses his teammates to score. One thing players make the mistake is a common mistake they make mentally is they think the only way to score the basketball is to work on your isolation or your one-on-one scoring moves. You still want to work on that, but if you watch college teams, you watch NBA teams, you watch WNBA teams, they're using actions, screens, cuts, drive and kick, draw and kick, all this sort of stuff. So look at this clip right here, how many times Dejounte uses a teammate. So pass, that's 1. 2, handoff. 3 as a screen. Okay, so it's another screen. And then right here, 4, the screener goes into the paint and boxes out, kind of creates ceiling position on his defender. So right there, Dejounte Murray had one teammate do 4 things to help him get an open basket. So many of you watching this, you're not a great primary one-on-one scorer. That's okay. You still want to continue building that skill. But if you're not great scoring the ball off the dribble, learn how to use your teammates and learn how to score off them. So this is the exact same play that we just watched. Now they're in Denver. And I'm going to make 2 points on this. Well, 3. Again, look at the pace. After Dejounte Murray made that pass, he pauses for just a half a second, body comes up, and then he changes speeds and goes into the handoff. Number 2, the key point number 2 right here is patience on the handoff. So after he catches this handoff, look what he does. He squares up and he makes a read on his defender, reads the defense, and now he reads the defense, and however they are covering him will dictate how he reacts. A lot of you players watching this, you only know how to play at 1 speed. So that means if you only know how to play at 1 speed, a lot of y'all, when you take this handoff, you're immediately attacking downhill as fast as humanly possible. Now, if that's your offense and that's what your coach wants you to do, then do that. But a lot of you need to have this ability where you take a handoff, you receive a pass, read the defense first, and then attack. And then again, look how he uses his teammate to score. He had a handoff, he had a ball screen, and then he has a nice little mid-range fadeaway right here. Now to the third clip. Very similar concepts. So on this one right here, ball starts in the corner, some screening action right here, and he's going to feed the elbow. Again, watch the change of speeds into the cut right here. Makes the pass, pauses for half a second, then goes into it. Now, the good thing about, like, after he makes this pass and he pauses right here is, let's say his defender, if his defender were to have stepped up, then Dejounte Murray could have one step towards the ball and then a backdoor cut. So slowing down, playing with pace allows you to have those reads. The second thing is, notice which hand he passes this with, left hand. So if you're a guard and you're watching this, you've got to be able to make all these different types of passes with your left hand or with your right hand, because if he were to have made this pass with his right hand, he would be bringing the ball across the defense and it would have probably gotten deflected or stolen. Again, in this clip, this number 3 uses a teammate to score, passes to a teammate, takes the handoff, gets the screen, and then goes up. But let's talk about the read and creating space. So right here, after he feeds the elbow and cuts, on this one it's a little different. He's immediately creating space or attacking off of the screener, because as Dejounte Murray is coming off right here, he's reading this big. If the big steps up and commits to guarding Dejounte Murray, so let's say like if the big would have stayed on Dejounte right here, then that would have been a mismatch in the post. But what the big does is hedge and retreat, and since he retreats, Dejounte Murray makes the right read, defense goes back, so that's what enables him, or that's the read he makes to shoot that open jump shot. So we're going to do the same thing where we look at the same play twice. Ball starts in the corner, feed to the elbow, then goes into a cut and a handoff. Again, you can look at the pace yourself on this one. Cuts, kind of shakes, goes into it. But again, he's using a teammate to score. I've already talked about that. That's a skill you all need to work on, players. But then the move I want to point out, what's unique about this one is a high elevation mid-range jumper. So look at this release point right here. Or we'll start with the shot pocket where he gets this shot off. So on this mid-range jumper, a lot of you players, you shoot and your release point is kind of at your chin or at your forehead. But I think a lot of you, and not necessarily every one of you, because not every single one of you has to have this shot in your skill set. But if you are good and you're longer than most of your defenders and you're a good shooter, you need to add this shot in your repertoire in your skill set where you're able to release the ball higher, elevate above the defense, and then of course knock it down. And that's a mid-range shot that you want to work on, because a lot of you when you're shooting a 3, you want to release it from about right here to get more power when you're further out from the basket. But as you get closer to the basket, mid-range, short-range jump shot, and then even a layup, that's when you can start to increase your release point higher and higher. All right, so now we're on to a late angle screen. So this is against the Lakers. So I'm going to show you what a late angle screen is right here. So late angle is when the when the screener goes to the ball handler's defender, starts the screen on one shoulder of the defender. So right now the screener is on Westbrook's left shoulder. Late angle means he's going to change angles and screen the other shoulder. So this is a late angle screen. And again, this point isn't on here on number 4, but look at Dejounte Murray's patience. I watch a lot of high school basketball. I watch a lot of college basketball. A lot of players, when they are in this situation, they don't have the ability to slow down right here, stop, and let a good screen be set. Too many players are out of control. They're moving too fast, and they would already be driving downhill before the screen is even set. So if you want to improve your game, you've got to be able to be patient with your dribble, let that screen set up, let the defender make their move, and then you make a read out of it. After the screen, this is point number 2, his eyes are on the big. So look, immediately after the screen, his eyes are on Dwight Howard, and he's driving to the short corner, not directly to the rim. The read he makes, point number 4, is, and it should say pull up, not pill up, but he's going to do a pull-up jump shot because watch the defender. Watch Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard continues to retreat, protect the rim, and because the defender's retreating, that's what leaves the jumper open. Now, the other thing, the going back to number 3, driving to the short corner. So if a lot of times players come off an action like this screen, and all they know to do is have an immediate drive, straight line to the rim. So that would be if Dejounte Murray just went right there. Sometimes that works. I'm not saying never do that. I think that's a great move, especially if you're a great driver and you're quick. But what driving to the corner does, or to the short corner does, is it takes this defender away from the rim. And then from there, if the big's defender is away from the rim, like you could have a lob pass right here, a little bounce pass to the big for a short hook shot. But it's good because you're taking the rim protector away from the rim. Okay, now we're on to assists. And the first point for this one is, especially for you guards coming off a pick and roll, so right here you see the pick and roll. Anytime you have 2 on the ball, meaning 2 defenders are guarding you, that is a great thing, because that means somebody else is open. So Dejounte Murray coming off the screen, you got 2 defenders guarding Dejounte Murray. Good, that's what you want out of a pick and roll. Number 2 is he leads the roller. So as the pass is released, the cutter is at the foul line. But Dejounte Murray knows that the cutter, the screener, is going towards the rim, so Dejounte Murray throws it in front of the screener. The third thing, and this is a type of pass, players, you need to add to your skill set, and on my training platform, Optimal Basketball, link below the first line, I have a ton of different passes you can do. The free version has some, but if you do the paid version, I think there's over 40 types of passes that you can work on. But right here, the one-hand pass, guards, you've got to be able to make this with your left hand and your right hand, where you're dribbling. You shouldn't have to pick the ball up with 2 hands. You should be able to dribble with one hand and then make that pass. So the one-hand pass, that makes it for a quicker release. And then typically, in a situation like this, the read for the ball handler is the weak side low defender. So that's this defender right here, and I think that's CJ McCollum. But right here, if this defender rotates all the way over super early and cuts off this pass, then the skip pass to the opposite corner is open, or the skip pass to the weak side wing. Because a common mistake that a lot of you players make when you're coming out of the pick and roll, you don't read this defender. You just see your teammates open, don't see them. So you got to make sure you're reading that weak side low defender. Okay. Similar action here, side pick and roll. So as he's coming off this screen, and I didn't put this on the key point for this one, look at the patience again. He looks to attack, nothing's there, he backs his dribble out, and then he waits for the screen. His pace is amazing. He's under control. And again, what a lot of players do is they just take off and try to do something way too fast without spacing being good and without a screener having time to get up there. But as he comes off this screen, he allows the Bigs defender, DeAndre Ayton, to step up. Now, since this defender is stepping up, you can see there is room here in the paint for either like a lob. It's going to be a bounce pass. But this is kind of similar to the 2 on the ball idea, where if you can get the rim protector out of the paint, that is great for the roller because it gives them space. And the type of pass he makes is that one-hand pocket pass. So you can see just right-hand pass, outside hand pocket pass. So you also need to work on the inside hand pocket pass. But he makes that pocket pass right between the window of the 2 defenders. And then, of course, they get a good score right there. Now, for the next clip, we're looking at another assist. And this is such an underrated but so basic of a skill that if you get this right 100% of the time, that is going to make a huge difference for how many minutes you play and how you help your team win. So it's a very basic draw and kick or drive and kick. So he gets in here into the paint, shooter on the wing, the defender of that shooter slides all the way in and stops the ball handler. So you draw the defense in and kick it out to the open shooter. Now, what a lot of you players do is, focusing on key point number 2, is you're able to beat that first defender, but once you get to the secondary defender, that's when you get in trouble. So when you're working on your driving or you get past your defender in a game, if you're playing a bad defense, there's not going to be any help and you'll be wide open. But if you're playing a good defense, and I hope you are, because if you're a good player, you're going to attract good competition. Once you beat that primary defender, you've always got to be ready for that secondary defender. If they commit fully, you can kick out. If they don't commit fully, you can drive all the way to the rim. If they try to trap you, kick it out. But you just got to be mentally prepared that good defenses are always going to have that secondary defender. Now the read here is Jay Crowder, the help defender. He doesn't just throw his arm out or he doesn't stay on the shooter. He commits fully. He shows his chest to Dejounte Murray, which I teach is the read to make the pass. So usually what I tell players, and this isn't original with me, your coach has probably told you this, if you see the chest of this defender right here stop you on the drive, that means you got to pass it. And then again, we're talking about one-hand passes off the dribble. Look at this one-hand pass. It's a left-hand pass, so that is not his dominant hand. It's a left-hand pass, and the accuracy of the pass is right on the money. McDermott here, the shooter, he doesn't have to reach high. He doesn't have to reach to the right, reach to the left too far. The pass doesn't cause him to be off balance. It is right on the money. So one thing, like especially you point guards watching this, when you're doing your workouts or you're working out, let's say you're working out for an hour, I would do this exact pass with your left hand and your right hand. Just do it 10 to 15 reps with your left hand, 10 to 15 reps with your right hand, and do that as part of your warm-up or part of your 10 minutes or 5 minutes of your passing in your workout. And I would just literally get a partner or even throw it against the wall, dribble, pass with one hand, dribble, pass with the other hand, so that you're working on adding that to your passing skill set. Okay, now we're looking at his defense. And this is a short clip, but this is such a great angle right here. So what we're going to see are 4 things: communication, staying engaged on the weak side, left hand deflection, and switching cutters. So right here, Dejounte Murray is going to make a switch. So this is Dejounte Murray's matchup right here. Let me run this clip back. So his teammate's going to face cut him, and then he's going to switch. So right here, Dejounte Murray and his teammate, they are communicating right here saying switch, switch, switch. And so the communication with the defense, that's something you got to be able to do as a basketball player. Number 2 is staying engaged on the weak side. Most players, and again, I watch a ton of high school and college basketball. Most players, when they're on the weak side, they're either super lazy and just not ready to defend, or they're in proper position, but they're not really engaged. They're not really active. They're kind of just waiting for the ball to be past their matchup, and then they'll play defense. But great defenders are engaged no matter if their matchup has the ball or if they're the furthest defender away from the ball. The third thing is the left-hand deflection. So just how we've looked at players, you got to be able to pass with your left hand and pass with your right hand. You got to be able to finish with your left and finish with your right. You also got to be able to deflect passes with either hand, because it's just going to enable you to get more deflections and you're not going to commit as many fouls. So that is a really, really good really good clip right there, because a lot of things are happening at once. That was looked simple, but that is a very rare, very advanced defensive sequence from him. Okay, now this is a very basic one, opening possession against the Grizzlies. And I want to leave you with this question. How many of these types of steals could your team get per game? If you got 5 of these steals a game, that would be 10 points. And I'm talking about a steal where you go into a layup. Or for you personally, let's say you want to score 20 points a game. If you got 3 steals a game like this, let me run the clip, where you're just actively engaged on defense and you deflect a pass, and he made the layup right here, but you're just engaged on defense, and instead of having your hands at your side, you just raise your hands up to get a deflection. If you got 3 of those a game, that's 6 points. And then let's say you're able to get 6 free throws a game, so you get fouled 3 or 4 times, you make 6 free throws, okay, that's 12 points. You had 3 steals for a layup, 6 free throws. That's 12 points. Let's say you hit 2 threes. That's 18 points. And then you got to find just one other way to score 2 points. If you want to be a 20-point per game scorer, you got to think of all these different ways you can score. But when you break it down like that, couple steals for a layup, a couple free throws, 2-point jump shots, 2 or 3 threes. Before you know it, you're at 20 points a game. And then from a team perspective, if your team got 1 to 2 of these very basic steals per game, that could be 10 to 20 point differences for your team. So that's it for this Dejounte Murray film study. You can drop a comment if you have any questions, but you also want to check out my free training platform, optimalbasketball.com. You can see it here on the screen. It's in the first link below. You got to create the free account to access all of the free content on there, but there's a ton of workouts. There's film studies. There's drills. There's some IQ studies where I talk about how to train, how to best work on your handle. There's all sorts of stuff on there that will seriously help you get better at basketball. I appreciate y'all watching this. Like I said, drop a comment below. I'll also leave my email in the video description here if I can be of any service to you getting better as a player. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.